Bonjour everyone and welcome back to the Waves of Your Soul. Today I thought I would do something a little bit different. It's a video I've been wanting to do for a while now, where I share with you some things that I'm implementing to boost my tarot skill and to become a better tarot reader. We're going to talk about some of the practices I'm putting in place in the next 30 days or roughly till the end of the year. I'm not really counting the holidays, as we know those times tend to be busy, so I don't know if I'll have much time during Christmas to implement those things, but I'm gonna say around 30 days to boost my tarot skills so that I can give even better readings to myself and to others. I've been wanting to do this kind of video for a while where I share with you practical things I'm doing to level up my skills as a reader. If you guys enjoy this, I would be happy to share these kinds of video every trimester. It will be like this cozy vlog style where I can share with you some books I'm reading, maybe it's a podcast I'm listening to, maybe it's some exercise I'm implementing. We'll see, every trimester it's going to be a bit different. If you like the idea of that, let me know. If you think it would be fun for me to share those videos every trimester, I'd love to have your guys' feedback, as this is the first time I'm filming this kind of video. So for today, I have 5 things I am going to be implementing for the next 30 days. And if you're new here, I want to say a huge welcome. My name is Marine. I am a French tarot reader and a deck goblin. You'll find all the names of the decks and books I'm going to mention today. You will also find the link to my second channel, the Waves of Your Soul readings. This is where I actually read the cards for you guys. So all of this I'm going to be doing will benefit you too if you follow me on my second channel, as this is where I post monthly guidance, pick-up-hide readings. I would love if you guys consider joining me over there, as I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. That would be a wonderful end of year present if you guys decided to join over on the second channel as well. So without further ado, we're gonna get into it. Let's talk about the 5 things I'm putting in place to level up my tarot skills in the next 30 days. Let's do this. So the first thing I'm going to be doing for the next 30 days, and it's pretty much something I would be doing for all of those times where I want to boost my tarot skills and my level as a tarot reader, is to read a tarot book. I personally really believe in always learning. I feel like there's always new ways to learn, and I've been learning tarot for years. I've been reading tarot for years, and yet I'm a true believer that I still have so much to learn, that we can never stop expanding our views, learning new things, open our minds. So the main tarot book I'm going to be reading for the next weeks, a few weeks, months, maybe a couple of months even, as it's really dense and there's a lot to get into, is this Red Tarot by Christopher Marmolejo, and this is a decolonial guide to divinatory literacy. I have started, as you've seen, I've started to annotate this. I am really taking my time with this, and I want to talk to you guys about this particular work, because this is probably one of the best tarot books I have read, and I've read lots. One day I will do a video about the best tarot books I've read and the ones that I love, and maybe I'll even mention some ones that I didn't love so much. Trust me when I say I have read a lot of the books on the market. Like I said, I love learning. I'm an Aries, so there's this side of me that's always wanting to learn new things, try new things, and there's this fire starter archetype that lives very strong within me. Read a lot of tarot books, but this one is truly, I would say, in my top 3 at the moment. As you can see, I'm annotating the crap out of this, and whilst I absolutely am loving this book, this comes with a caveat that this is probably the most challenging tarot book I've ever read. The reason for that is that the text feels very dense. This feels like you are taking a master degree in tarot and in decolonizing your view of tarot. So I just want to put this caveat that I am loving this book, but it might not be the most accessible book in terms of the language. Again, please take that with a grain of salt. English is not my first language, so I'm maybe struggling a little bit more than you guys might as English native speakers. The language is quite dense and complex. The way that it's written is not, I would say, the most accessible. This feels very scholarly, very education forward. So is this a book I would recommend to beginners? No. Is this a book I would recommend to any kind of tarot reader who wants to expand their view once they already know about, specifically in this case we're talking about the RWS? Yes, I actually consider this essential reading for all of my fellow tarot readers out there because it tackles such important subjects such as decolonizing our view of tarot. This is fantastic. I'm loving it so much. I'm gonna really make sure that I'm continuing to read this in the next few days. As you can see, I'm annotating this, so I am tabbing all of the quotes that I want to remember. Also, kind of like circling words or concepts that I think are really interesting, and then I'm using two different colors to highlight. I'm using pink for bits about tarot specifically that are new concepts or ideas, ways to look at tarot I've never heard of, and then I'm using green that is the specific to look at anything related to decolonization, looking at divination through a decolonized lens, anything that relates to patriarchy and challenging societal norms, all of that. So for example, to give you a little bit of a sense as to why I'm loving this book so much, right at the beginning, Christopher mentions a way to look at tarot as a language, which I think is fascinating. So I wanted to read to you guys, as already that was like, for me, sold me on the book. By reframing and rereading the text that is tarot, so looking at tarot as its own language, this can be claimed as an alternative, local epistemology of the people that can renew the divinatory animacy that permeates ancient ways of knowing in the present language body. Language is more than intellectual. It makes meaning of the body and spirit of the speaker, reader, writer. True language is never mechanically intellectual. It is sensuous, evocative, and emotive. It is animate and animating. The sound of our speech expresses the living spirit. So you can see the writing is beautiful. This is so full of wisdom, but it's also so full of interesting concepts. I am taking really my time with this one because there's so much to get into. And what I'm doing is, once I'm annotating, I am going into my little notebook and I am taking notes. So again, I have my little systems. If you guys are interested, please don't judge my writing. I'm dealing with chronic pain, so my writing is really bad. But what I'm doing is I'm taking notes, and again, if it's quotes, I usually try and highlight them. I don't rewrite everything in the book. I don't find that very good for my brain, but I need to take notes because I'm dealing with a lot of brain fog. So if I don't take notes, I don't retain information. Sadly, it's just a side effect of my chronic illness. One of my recent notes was regarding the pages. I was reading what they had to say about the Page of Cups, for example. And what I've taken notes from what they say on the Page of Cups is that the Page of Cups is the voice of intuition. It's a child of miracles, a messenger of water. And this is a quote that I thought was beautiful. The Page of Cups is a cupbearer who develops a poetics of divination, a new technology of communion by which to speak with the spirit. So beautiful, teaching me new ways to look at tarot, specifically challenging the ways that tarot has often been defined and framed through a lens that is very white, that is very Christian, that is very European even. This is a whole new way of looking at tarot, and it's obviously really challenging me as a reader in a great way. I'm learning so much. Again, this is probably one of the best tarot books I've ever read. Not the most accessible, it's really challenging my brain, but it's also so rewarding. So this is one of the main things I'm doing in the next 30 days to boost my skills as a tarot reader, reading this, taking notes. As part of this aim and goal to decolonize my view of divination, again, I'm coming from the sense of I'm white, I'm French, so my view of divination in all the study I've done in terms of history has been very much rooted in what I could find out about cartomancy in Europe, right? The traditional history of cartomancy, very much focused on French and Italian playing cards and tarot and tarot. I've done a lot of research about those French occultists, such as Eteia and all of those. Even Mademoiselle Lenormand. And whilst this has been fascinating, and as a French person I've loved reading about all of those oracle card readers, Lenormand readers, all of those like occultists, I am at a point now in my tarot reading journey where I want to expand my mind to other wisdom, obviously. One of them being trying to, again, specifically learning from indigenous practices and wisdom to challenge what I already have been taught and what society has like molded me into, coming as a person, again, coming from this French white background. There's a second book that I want to get to. I don't know if I'll have time in the next 30 days, but you know, this is like hopeful like work. We'll see how much I can get done. Obviously, you guys know I navigate the waters of chronic illness, so this is all depending on how I'm doing and stuff. But something I'm hopeful to get to is Braiding Sweetgrass. This is by Robin Wall Kimmerer. This is not about tarot, but it's the second thing I'm hoping to do, which is to read a non-fiction book that's not about tarot, but that I think will still teach me things that can help me as a tarot reader. In this one, we're talking about the teaching of plants through indigenous wisdom. Robin Wall Kimmerer is a very prolific writer. She has just released a new book called The Service Berry, which sounds really interesting. It's actually on the Goodreads shortlist for Best Nonfiction of 2025, so I'm hoping to pick it up at some point as well. This is a way to look at plants and nature through indigenous wisdom, specifically Native American wisdom. And because tarot is about life, I have a feeling that learning about life, generally speaking, in this case learning more about plants, will help me become a better tarot reader. And this is obviously, you know, going really well with this particular book. It's all about decolonizing my view of spirituality in general, I guess, not just tarot. So I am really excited about getting into these two. Those are going to be like my main things I'm doing in the next 30 days to become a better tarot reader. So the third thing I'm going to be doing to level up my skills as a tarot reader in the next 30 days is to try and give a second chance to a deck I haven't managed to bond with yet. And the deck I've chosen for that is actually the Carnival at the End of the World. This is by Madame Lulu, I think they call it. Madame Lulu Presents. It's a indie deck, and I actually have the matching guidebook. I have had this deck for 2 years maybe, and I still have not bonded with it. I've not used it a ton. At the time when I got it, it was really appealing to me, and then I don't know, when I finally got it in my hands, it was like we were not speaking the same speech. I did a couple of readings with it, and it just, I don't know, it didn't click. And yet this deck always intrigued me, so I've always thought, you know what, I want to give this a second chance. And again, as a way to challenge myself as a tarot reader, I think it's important for me, obviously take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt, for me it's important to try and put myself in uncomfortable situations as a tarot reader, as like in my day-to-day tarot reading practices, is sometimes we can go on automatic mode, autopilot mode, so as a way to jolt us back alive and to challenge us, to force us to go outside of our comfort zone, I find myself really sometimes benefiting from forcing myself to use a deck I haven't bonded with, because then through being uncomfortable, I'm growing. And yes, maybe I will not end up keeping the deck. That's not really the point. The point is not necessarily to find out if the deck is for me or not, although that's obviously part of the process. The point is to see if through being uncomfortable by reading with a deck I don't necessarily feel like super bonded with, if I can challenge myself, learn new things, and maybe expand my view of tarot. So this is a very quirky deck, which is obviously what attracted me when I got it originally. I think it's gonna be fantastic to really just let my intuition speak, maybe look at things outside of the box. And obviously, as you can see, a big theme of what I'm doing in the next few weeks is going to be about stepping outside of the box I might have put myself into, or that maybe society has put me into, maybe both. I think this is going to be a good one to, again, force myself to look at things in a different way, step outside of the known, push myself outside of my own boundaries, and expand my view of tarot. So this is going to be one of the things I'm going to do in the next 30 days, is force myself to use this deck as a way to push myself, to challenge myself, to see if I can learn new things, and to see if I can channel new insights, and maybe even if it's, again, a deck I don't end up bonding with and keeping, the experience of being uncomfortable will teach me things that are useful, I think. There is the guidebook accompanying, which I read through once quickly, but which I really want to revisit and take my time and use alongside this. I think this is going to be a really good experience for me to hopefully level up my tarot skills. In order to kind of use this deck and maybe bond with it or not, we will see, but to give it a proper second chance, I have this. I wanted to quickly mention that I might use this. It's in French. It's called 78 tirages de tarot by Emmanuel Iger. These are cards with 78 spreads in them. There's like tons of spreads, career spreads, love spreads. This is for my French speakers. If you guys don't have this one, I highly recommend it. There's 78 spreads in there. There's everything from career issues to love issues to things about should I buy this thing or not. It's buying a house, defining your priorities. I think there's an animal spread in there. There's so many, you guys, so many ideas of spreads. Sometimes I create my own spreads, but because I feel like most of my brain power is gonna be used reading the Red Tarot, I told you it's a very dense book. I want to make my life easier for myself, so to bond with this particular deck, with the Carnival at the End of the World, I am gonna pull from this and try a few spreads from this and see how it speaks. So one I like to do that I've put at the top actually here is boosting myself. I don't know how you would say that in English. Boosting myself up the butt in a nice way or like giving myself a new boost. The spread is who I am, I'm bringing to the table, what is my source of energy, what is my strength, what is my goal, and what is my reward. So it's kind of like a little self-check-in to look at what you're bringing to the table. Nice way to give yourself a little boost. I thought I want to try that for sure. And this is one actually I want to use for you guys as well on the second channel. So I'll probably do a reading on that theme at some point very soon. So that's the third thing I'm doing, which is giving myself a chance to try and bond with a deck I have not bonded with yet. The fourth thing I'm doing in the next 30 days to boost and level up my tarot skills is to read a fiction book inspired by tarot. This is another thing I love to do. There are so many now books that are inspired by tarot, that are fantasy books, fiction books, historical fiction. We are so lucky that tarot is becoming more mainstream, that there are a lot of books, a lot of maybe even mangas, whatever, animes that draw inspiration from the cards. So the book I'm reading that I've actually just finished, so I can tell you what I thought about it, is Arcana Academy. This is a romantasy book, and as someone who really struggles reading romantasy, as I oftentimes find the romance really not believable. I find that it's more insta-lust rather than a romance story. I am quite critical of them, but I love fantasy, and I found out that this one was fully inspired by tarot, so I was like, let me give it a go. This is definitely one of the best romantasy books I have read as someone who is very critical of them, so I'm super happy I gave it a chance. In Arcana Academy, we follow the story of Clara, who is someone who has been taught by her mother how to ink tarot cards, as magic specifically in this world is completely linked to tarot. So through tarot cards, people are able to gain magical powers, but the magic of the cards is controlled by the crown. So normally you are only able to become an arcanist if you go to Arcana Academy, and then you end up working for the crown. Clara has been taught how to ink tarot cards secretly by her mother. She has always lived a little bit outside of the fringes. She has always tried to stay outside of the control from the crown, until eventually she gets caught trying to sell tarot cards, which are illegal, I guess, because she's not an official arcanist, and she ends up being against her will, hired to go into this Arcana Academy to become a more official arcanist. There's obviously a romance story, because this is a romantasy, but honestly the world building is what is the most fascinating, and why I want to read fiction books that are inspired by tarot as a way to become a better tarot reader, is that again, it helps you to look at new ways to look at the cards. So in this particular world, people can use tarot cards to gain power. So for example, the Eight of Wands, if you draw that card and apply it to yourself, you can become really fast. If you use the Knight of Swords, you can cut people down. If you use the Chariot, you can teleport, etc., etc. And so I suddenly was like, okay, this is so fascinating. What are the powers I would imagine each tarot cards to have? And suddenly I'm having this kind of discussion with myself of like, okay, what would I think this particular, I don't know, the Four of Pentacles would bring as a power? Do I agree with the view of the author? Do I think, yes, I would have chosen that, or would I have chosen a different magical power? It just helps you, again, expand your mind, look at tarot through a different lens, and it's fun. And I think learning should be fun. Definitely recommend you guys Arcana Academy. I had a great time. The romance story is actually believable for once in romantasy. The world building for my tarot lovers is fantastic. It is so cool, and it's super fast paced. I read it in like 2 days. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait for book 2. So let me know if you guys have read it, and we can talk about it in the comments. The fifth thing I want to talk about, the last thing I'm going to be doing in the next 30 days to boost and level up my tarot skills, bond with a new deck. So I've talked about potentially trying to give a deck a second chance and find if I can push myself through the uncomfort to read with that deck. But I also want to give myself a chance to use a new deck. The newest deck in my collection I haven't actually showed you guys is this one. This is a Kickstarter, so I received this just after I filmed my latest haul, so it will be included in my future haul for December, but I'm gonna be using it for all of like the rest of November, potentially December as well. It's the Lady Pirate Tarot. It was a Kickstarter by the same people who did the Baroque Tarot, which I really enjoy, and as the name suggests, this is a deck that is inspired by pirate ladies. Lady pirates, pirate ladies. Yeah, ladies who were pirates in history. And if you guys didn't know, I love pirate stories. I currently live on Reunion Island, which is an island in the Indian Ocean, which has a very rich history of piracy. Just a lot of people are more familiar with the piracy stories from the Caribbean, obviously, because of Pirates of the Caribbean, etc., etc. But the Indian Ocean has fascinating history when it comes to piracy. Obviously, there was a lot of pirates coming from Asia. This is one of the most famous ones. So that was super important in the Indian Ocean, way before the pirates that are more so happening in, you know, the Pirates of the Caribbean time. But then during, obviously, all of the spice trades and everything, there's also a lot of interesting history in the Indian Ocean when it comes to Madagascar specifically, as some pirates tried to actually create a democracy where people could be free, and a lot of like enslaved people escaped and tried to join the pirate crew there to get a second chance at life and to become free. So there's lots of fascinating story in the Indian Ocean about piracy. In Reunion Island there were some famous pirates. I'll tell you about it in a bit. And obviously this is a deck dedicated to female pirates, and I think that's wonderful. There's quite a few of them that are French, really cool. In the guidebook that you can get as PDF, they tell you all about who these are. In the Major Arcana we have different lady pirates, and then the minor is not necessarily depicting a specific pirate, but it's more traditional RWS, just in that kind of world, that swashbuckling world, which is really fun. So the minor is very RWS, as you're gonna see, almost a clone, I would say, but in this swashbuckling like pirate theme. And even the fact that we have something that focuses on female pirates, I think is so fun. Something really unique, something we've never had before, and it just shines a lot of light on historical figures that a lot of people would not necessarily know about. Plus I think the art style is really cute, so I'm excited to use this one to like bond with it and use it. Again, it was a Kickstarter, but I'm pretty sure you can buy it now. You had a game actually that was as part of this one, like you could play D&D, I think, as part of this, or you could just get the tarot deck. You have a little guidebook in the box, but you have a bigger one as a PDF format that goes into more details as to who the ladies in the major arcana are. Alongside this, I'm probably going to do a reread of a couple of books that I have about piracy in Reunion. The main, like most famous guy for us in Reunion is called Labuse. He was a very famous pirate here, as he has a treasure that still hasn't been found, and when he was finally arrested for his piracy, for his mischief, and he was about to be hanged, legend says that he threw a piece of paper that was all cryptic, and legend says that he shouted that whoever could decrypt his message would find his treasures. And people to this day still try and find the treasure. But this is what he threw to the crowd when he was about to be hanged, and it is said that if you could decrypt this, you would find the treasure. So in Mauritius and Reunion, a lot of people are treasure hunting for his treasure, as it is meant to be one of the richest treasures still to be found. So I've got a book specifically about him because he was a very interesting character. I have a book about Pirates of the Indian Ocean, which I have read already, but I'm probably going to revisit it at the end of the year. And I might even go to my local library, see if they have any other pirate books specifically about the ladies here. I think I might find a couple of books about specifically the French lady that's in this major arcana. We have Anne Dieu-le-Veut, we have Jeanne de Clisson. Those are very famous French lady pirates that I'm hoping to find some more information at my local library, because again, Reunion Island, we have a lot of books about pirates, as it's such a big part of our culture here. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the next 30 days or more, depending how I'm getting on, to boost my tarot skills. I'm going to be reading tarot books. I'm going to be challenging myself to use a deck I've never bonded before. I'm going to use a new deck and learn that specifically about a subject I like, and try and learn new things through that. Reading a non-fiction book that I think will teach me about life and thus teaching me about tarot. And I read a fiction book that was inspired by tarot. Those are all the things I'm doing, and I hope you guys enjoy this video. Let me know if you would like me to do those kinds of video every trimester or whatever, as I love to learn again, and I'm always changing up what I'm doing to boost my tarot skills. So I'd love to know if you guys enjoyed watching this, if it was interesting. Thank you so much for being here. Please let me know in the comments what are you doing at the moment to become a better tarot reader, to learn new things, to boost your tarot skills. I would love to know. I'm going to be doing a video as well about 10 tips I want to share to help you boost your tarot skills, things that I'm constantly doing that are not necessarily related to specific books or whatever, but that are more general. These are like my 10 secrets to become a better tarot reader. So I'll be doing a video about that very soon. Hopefully that will help anyone who's trying to improve their tarot reading skills and learning tarot. And until next time, I want to say thank you so much for being here. I'm sending you so much good vibes, and keep navigating the webs of your soul. Bye!